when music died?
Very little.
Music died in 2010.
Well, it got back to the
There's
the
my
really
hot take.
early '90s when it was super produced, like it was executive produced boy bands, and you're like, it was an era for that. But then it was like, this is tired. Like, you know, once you've had about 4 boy bands, the 5th one, the 6th one, the 7th one, who cares?
So of all of the R&B rap artists, all of that whole genre, give me your top 3 in order. Fine, top 2.
I can't even do that. I can't give you a top. There were never favorites. It would have been like, I can give you a dozen that were really strong.
Whose beats
all
were
the
you
stuff
taking?
from Def, like everything that Dre produced was good.
That's fact.
Yeah. All right, I guess we're going now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
That's how we get famous right there. Just talk about Dre and all the different artists. Like, forget the financial stuff.
Right. All right, gang. It is that time of the weekend, and it's time for the True Wealth Radio Show. And this is the greatest Tuesday I've had all week. And also, Cinco de Mayo, which makes it super awesome Taco Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Dave Littlejohn in studio with
Matt Dixon. Hey, are we going to go get tacos after this?
I feel like, it's almost
I feel like we should have a taco eating contest.
Okay.
Now, I think you'll probably always beat me by like 1 or 2 tacos, but I'll give you a good fight.
I feel like this is a worthy contest here. I'm in it.
Should
By
we
the
do
way,
it?
I also need to. So Emma's got the mic today too.
Emma,
She's
no.
here.
Hi.
You know what? No. Kick her out of the studio because send her on a mission. Go get us 20 tacos and
No, that's what DoorDash is for. Come on.
We're live streaming this. We could be eating the tacos on air. People would love it.
Yes, we are live. We're not live streaming. We
Oh,
are.
no.
Yeah, this will
Thanks.
show up on YouTube again. We've had enough technical issues. We're done with that part. We're just gonna capture it. And you know what? You can see it on YouTube later. Go subscribe, and then we'll get noticed every time the new video shows up.
What's that genre called where people like to watch other people eat? Is it ASMR? Is that what it is?
Mukbangs, I think, right?
Yeah, and
they
so
eat a lot of food all at one time.
Oh yeah, people love watching.
I know that
people
there's
eat.
like contests where people just eat massive amounts of food.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on here?
David.
Have you?
No one has probably tapped that side of the market. Everyone talks about finances, but how many people talk about finances and eat like 30 tacos at a time?
I don't know.
We've got this pinned.
Yeah.
This is our call to fame. We're just gonna eat tacos.
I'm over here panicking a little on the inside. I'm like, I'm very capable of eating more calories than I can burn. And storing said calories. I'm just like, look, it's compound calorie storage. Like, that's not good.
You just need to have a celery eating contest.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds brutal. I'd be like 1 stick in and out.
Hey, now,
If you eat celery without peanut butter, you're weird. Like,
Well,
I'll go on record and say it. Like,
celery with cream cheese was always good. So, now you got me thinking, like, could you possibly make some kind of taco filling with enough celery and stuff in it that you could get the flavor profile out, but you'd end up having neutral calories.
I don't like that you're stepping into that whole vegan thing, so let's step right back out
I
of
didn't
it.
say vegan. I'm like, how many negative calories in celery, and like how much ground beef can go into a taco compared to the celery that goes into it before it's like the ratio's wrong.
Ugh. Just give me all the beef. I want all the beef.
Yeah. What if you like had some kind of like baked cauliflower ground into the meat, so you had a lot more volume, but it was like a meat and cauliflower.
I've tried
blend.
that before, and it's okay, but
Yeah, it's
just
tolerable. It just doesn't. It's not
okay.
great.
No, it's not good. Like
Yeah.
you don't ever wish that you had more of it.
It's
but
true.
You're like, well, if this is all I had to eat, I guess I could be a vegan
Well,
for a
this
day.
is perfectly in line with where we need to head on today's show, which is this idea of when to make compromises and when not to. And honestly, the taco is not the place to compromise.
Never compromise on food. It's the one spot. Like, sometimes the difference between the $2 can of corn and the $1 can of corn, like,
It's a big
maybe.
difference. Yeah.
Well, the
Maybe.
price difference, it's hard to say. Like,
You know where
there's-
hominy,
huh?
hominy, the cheap hominy, don't get it. That's the only place I'm going to tell you not to skimp. Like, you got to get the good stuff. The others, the hominy. You're acting like you don't eat this all the time.
I don't.
No?
what
No,
this is?
no.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We're about to get educated here.
Yeah.
Great.
So of all the canned vegetables, hominy is in the top 2. Period. Like it's like
Okay.
corn, but it's like bigger and kind of creamier. Hominy. You got to try it. If you
All right.
haven't, there's my shameless plug
How
for.
have I had more years, like I've had more laps around the sun than you, and I'm literally hearing about this for the first time. Like,
I think
what
a lot of-
rock do I live under?
I think it was kind of like an old person food, but like
that doesn't change that. I should even be more likely.
But you're older than me, so you should have had.
That's
at
what
least,
I mean. Like,
yeah,
I
you
was just
should have
looking
had at
out.
least 100 cans of it in your lifetime.
Which I'm still going, I'm not sure how to spell that. Is the H silent? I mean, like,
No,
where is
no.
this on this?
Yeah, wow, that really is mind blowing to me. It goes
Agreed.
really good with like fried chicken, all this stuff.
What's that? No, I'm kidding. That's, sorry.
I almost fell out of my chair.
Yeah, and the show was over, right? So we have really been all over. There's so many things that are really interesting right now. There's some conspiracy theory, there's some technology breakthrough, and then there was just stuff that comes up that we stumble across in our day-to-day operation that we think, we really got to share this with our listeners.
Mhm.
And it's not that we're trying to be scatterbrained here. It's that it's hard to narrow it down. I mean, Matt, how do I narrow this down between online auctions, bad financial habits, quantum computing,
Yeah.
AI advancements, and the Strait of Hormuz?
Okay.
Like how do we do this?
There's a lot to cover, so let's just jump into it because this is a show about financial stuff, and so I think
Mostly,
this,
yeah.
I think this is all relevant. We're gonna loop it together, and it's gonna seem scattered at first,
Yeah,
but
don't worry. This is the only time you'll hear this show because it'll be so much relevant that we'll never be able to play it as a rerun.
no. Okay.
There you go.
News broke that GameStop offered like $56 billion to buy eBay today.
Is
Oh, I saw
GameStop like
that.
the
Saw that.
ultimate troll of the stock market?
That's why I wanted to talk about it because I remember when I first started here, GameStop was this
It was
huge
the
meme
stock,
right?
right? I
And
mean-
everyone was buying it, hold it to the moon, blah 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 blah.
Yes,
and then,
diamond hands. Come on.
yeah, and then it cratered, and then no one talked about it for years. And now what does it do? It jumps itself to the top of the news media cycle, and they throw out a $56 billion offer. Now remember, they're only worth as a company like $12 billion. So they're offering more than 4 times the value of their own
It's
company.
just a little bit like when your kid says, like, "Hey, why can't we go buy the moon?" or something like that.
Yeah. It'd be like your 3-year-old saying, "I'm going to go buy a brand new $100,000 Super Duty today."
I'm sitting there
And
going,
you're like,
"Oh,
you don't have any money."
It's $1 million. Like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Well, and there's no like public knowledge of.
Yeah, where are they going to
game-
come up with the money?
Yeah, there's no banks that have been on record for saying, "Well, we'll
No.
lend it to you."
They've been secretly. I'm going to start a rumor and get in trouble. I want to make a joke about it. Now it's not funny anymore when we have to just do a disclosure though.
Disclosures before jokes are lame.
It's super
Just
lame. 'Cause I'm
open
like,
yourself
they're-
up for
Somewhere
one.
they're running a cryptocurrency racket, and they've been
Making
printing a
meme
bunch
coins.
of, what is it, the NFTs and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
they're just like spooling out, and they've got this whole army of fake people that they've been doing that, and they're like, actually, we're worth $78 billion right now, and we're buying eBay. You're
Well,
like, what?
There's a lot of theories floating around online on how they could actually pull it off, though. Right?
Of course there are.
Yeah.
How?
Well, one of the things
Well,
that
first it's a bedtime story, and we make stuff up. I don't like.
Yeah.
What? All right, go, Matt. Go.
there's theories out there, not that any of these are true, but there's theories that they're not actually serious about making that go
No.
through, but what they did is they bought a ton of shares of eBay because investors might look at it and be like, oh, eBay's going to get acquired, let's buy that. So if other people come in and buy it and they bought underlying options on it or they bought actual shares,
So
they might pump it
it's
up.
a pump and dump.
It's literally
the
like
biggest pump and dump in history.
Yes, that's theoried, and that they're waiting for like a 6% price move in eBay, and then they're literally just gonna dump their shares and be like, yeah, you know what, that offer's not actually gonna pan out, and then they made a bunch of money.
Oh, I see.
There's a secondary thought. Now this one sounds more believable, that somehow the new CEO actually does have a way to come up with the financing, and that his thought is, hey, video games aren't selling in store like they used to. Everything's a digital sale. But you know what we do have? 1,600 storefronts. And if we acquire eBay, people can come in and sell their stuff cheap to us, and then we put it on eBay's website, and we become the second-hand Amazon.
Oh, interesting.
That's not a crazy thought, right? That eBay basically becomes the place you go where you don't want to have to buy new stuff. You can get it cheap.
And then Amazon buys them.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I see the game here. Okay,
But
this
wouldn't
is
that be
fun.
the ultimate heist where you come in and you're just a small fry and you manage to gobble a $56 billion company somehow and then make it even, 10 times more profitable than it was? That would be wild.
Assuming
That would
that
be
actually happens, right?
Right.
That's
That's
it also
crazy
implies,
speculation.
it has to be successful. When I'm listening earlier today to the announcement that Amazon is now starting to essentially act as delivery infrastructure for other companies. So they are competing with FedEx and UPS now.
Yeah. But think
so
about
like,
this.
do they need the eBay component, or are they also like, well, we may as well because we could do this but then what happens to Staples? Because they're like an Amazon return
Right.
center.
Yeah, Staples is kicking themselves because they're like, wow, we had storefronts and we didn't think of this. But, would you ever take the time? Let me ask you, would you ever take the time to take a $40 or $50 item and put it on eBay, and then you have to ship it, and then you have to handle all the stress of it to make $30?
I can't
Right?
even get stuff on Facebook
I
Marketplace.
have. It's a pain.
Exactly.
We have a
it's
whole
pain.
collection of American Girl doll stuff
Yeah.
that's like in pristine shape, and
And it's worth real money.
it
but
actually is. So
Yep.
I don't know if you
But
you
if-
have a kid that's interested in American Girl stuff, then you should just text our office.
But what if GameStop does buy eBay, and then they say, you can bring it in here and we're going to give you 50% of its value, you just got to drop it off? You'd probably do it. You
There's a
just
good
walk up to
chance.
the counter and just hand them
Yeah.
the stuff.
GameStop,
Think
it's
of
like,
the margins.
it's like
Think
a
of the margins in
garage
that.
sale.
It's 50% more than if you don't eat it.
Yeah. And I'm looking
Yeah.
at this and thinking,
Goodwill,
hey,
you're in
you
trouble.
could do this, and that's where my mind goes on. Think of the money laundering. Golly, IRS, look into this now. Okay, all right, I've let us run long. I shouldn't have, but I did. So,
I got more crazy stuff for you to.
Okay, well
chow
save
on.
them, Matt. Save them for our listeners to come back. I'm not even wearing headphones. I assume the music is on right now. So we're going to grab a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about more crazy market theories. Stick around. I'm Dave Littlejohn.
And Matt Dixon.
And I'm alright.
And you got True Wealth on News Radio 93.9 FM and 1240 KQEN. It worked.
Mike is texting. He's highly disappointed that there's no YouTube to comment
Yeah.
on.
Aw.
And
should just-
Sarah at work is saying, dude, where's my invite for tacos?
Oh, Sarah. Oh, yeah, she did. She said, dude, you guys are making me hungry. We could almost just FaceTime Mike if you really wanted to see you guys. Just screen share.
For county commissioner, because Tim Freeman cares, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty and go out and work side by side with our rescue teams. And he also helps us a ton with our equipment and operations. And I
Okay.
support him wholeheartedly because I know he cares about.
Hey, you want to hear something funny?
Yes. Whoa.
A refreshing setting for retreat.
That's right, I know how to turn the monitors off.
Of all kinds.
Okay. So, what we've established first is that GameStop is going to try to rule the world.
Yep. Google is now bigger than Nvidia by
That-
market cap.
Google was bigger than NVIDIA. And then what, NVIDIA got bigger? 'Cause the biggest
Nvidia.
company in the world was, it had been Apple, and then it was Microsoft.
And then it was Nvidia, and now it's Google.
Which
Is
just
this
proves
biggest
my
in
theory
terms of money?
that
Or
Google
like,
knows
worth?
everything.
Worth, yeah.
Hmm. We're going to see if we get penalized by YouTube for not doing the live stream. Right? If it's like, if you're not putting content out like you're supposed to,
Will it tell us?
I'll have to ask it. All right, gang, welcome back to the True Wealth Radio Show, where we are live on a Taco Tuesday, but also Cinco de Mayo, which you know what that means. Good, because I don't. We're in studio with Matt and Emma, and you can get us caught up on the podcast. It'll be available at littlejohnfs.com tomorrow under the Knowledge Center, which sounds fancy to me. Knowledge Center. Okay, Matt, have we
Yes.
put to bed this rumor about eBay and GameStop and all the shenanigans?
Sure.
Then
We
now
can move
what
on. We
What,
can
el-
move
what
on.
other crazy ideas did you have running around?
I have this crazy idea that people are completely blind to the fact that quantum computing exists. They don't even really know it. And that quantum computing is going to take over in a big way. Like, where it really starts to change how the world works. And it's not that far out. I don't think it's 10 plus years out. I think we're a couple years out from quantum computing becoming a much more large part of how our economy works. I'll put it that way.
Okay. So what do we do with this knowledge?
I think that I want you to talk a little bit about quantum computing. And I'll throw in what I know. And then we're going to speculate how it can change
This is going to
the
be a fun
entire
test. Now,
market.
what do you know about quantum computing?
I know that ones and zeros are how a computer reads stuff, right?
Mhm.
And I know that quantum computing allows it to use ones and zeros simultaneously, so at the same time. And so it changes the way that a computer can operate, and it improves efficiency in a huge, huge way. That's just a small part of it, obviously. But what some tasks a normal computer, even with like as many NVIDIA chips as you can, tie together, could take a normal computer 1 billion years to solve. It could take a quantum computer, in theory, like a day.
Yes.
And so quantum computing, like the technology in the last, 5-6 months has really taken some giant leaps forward. And so I think that we're about to start to see adoption of that technology in different ways. And I think it's going to start to change, the way that we do business.
Yeah. I'm gonna help Matt out, but I don't know that much more. Right? I know that quantum computing is based on the concepts that are found in quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's hence the quantum connection.
Yeah.
And I like to think of this is an oversimplification, but we think of traditional computers as operating in a two-dimensional space. It's like a piece of paper.
Right.
Where quantum computing operates in a three-dimensional space, so it's like a sphere. So we're used to thinking of states as either an off or an on. That's how a computer looks at it. It's like the computers used to be switches, and they were physically off or physically on. And so when you coded things, it was a 0 or a 1. The switch was yes or the switch was no. It was off or it was on. So that binary code is what we're traditionally used to. And the idea that quantum computing has particles that are in a flexible state. They're not just a
Right.
0 or a 1. They're in a state, and what happens is when you observe them, the state becomes known. But until that point, they can be in multiple states simultaneously. Now, imagine if you're able to take advantage of that simultaneous nature and then apply it to computing something. Normally,
That's-
you would have to sequence it with zeros and ones on a flat
Yep.
piece of paper, but you're able to put this into a sphere and sort of compute in every direction at the same time. So you're able to process through radical amounts of information.
In like fractions of a
Yeah,
second.
in fractions
That's-
of what it would take to sequence it.
Right.
And they're starting, first this was sort of experimental and it was hard to even produce. Now we're able to sort of produce quantum computers that do this, and then what they had was, it was so fragile that you'd have gaps in the information, right?
Mhm.
The data wouldn't be that coherent, so it wasn't super useful. Now even the data is becoming stabilized in such a way that it's not just repairing data by looking at it and seeing where the gaps are and sort of backfilling it, sort of approximating or
Yeah.
filling in, are actually starting to maintain the architecture of the data that's being put out. So its ability to process, and it's not necessarily more useful than traditional computing, but for certain tasks it can be, but it's incredibly powerful and fast.
Yeah.
And so one of the things they're most concerned about is encryption breaking, which would historically be a huge sequencing problem. They're finding that quantum computers can just rip through encryption, and
That's
it's almost
the big one.
useless.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's very destabilizing to the financial system and so forth. So I would suggest that quantum computing is highly relevant, and that we need to stay ahead of it. With the white hats need to stay ahead of it, right?
Right, and think of how much money is going to be put at it to try and stay ahead of it.
Yes,
It's
and so-
nuts because think about it. Like, say you have 1,000 delivery trucks, and you have to be able to route them the most efficient way possible, all at once. Like you're just like route all of these. That could take a computer just a ton of time in order to figure it out. But a quantum computer could figure that out in just a matter of seconds. And it's like, well, like think about AWS, Amazon's delivery stuff.
So you're still thinking about this in sort of physical infrastructure ways too.
Oh,
It would
yeah.
be very useful to tie together multivariable stuff. I'm just calling it
Yeah.
stuff not because I'm trying to oversimplify it, but because it could be anything, right? It could
Right,
be
the US
traffic
military,
networks.
yeah.
It could be how your smart routing for the internet, just so that you can preserve bandwidth, so you don't have those, like some afternoons where you go, gosh, how many cell phone towers keep dropping calls. It gets the ability to sort of solve problems in real time more effectively because it can handle the data. But I'm looking at it too from the position of the way artificial intelligence does these sort of node recognition and the way it processes through tokenization. So imagine being able to have a computer that could think all those thoughts at the same time. Right? It's not sequencing thoughts. It's able to say, I'm multitasking in my thought process at the same time. That's the stuff
So
that's
it's
really
like
remarkable.
it's able to think on different layers a lot quicker because right now AI is largely a language model, right? It's searching the internet and it's searching articles and then it's compiling evidence. And you're saying like, what if it can go through all of those different layers to a different dimension?
Well, it's even more than that. It searches those things, but remember, it's pattern recognition, and it's looking for the way the different patterns connect to each other.
Mhm.
That's how the intelligence nodes work. Is it recognizes patterns, and it's sub-patterns within those and patterns within those, and so it's actually predicting what the next thing needs to be. Well, imagine being able to run simultaneous processes. Right now, what's interesting in AI is this concept of iteration, right? If we want it to solve a problem, we no longer just ask a question, we ask it to do a task, and it figures out how to do the task. Okay? Well, what happens when you give it a task to solve, and it can not only solve the task and problem solve, but it can start to creatively think about the things you missed in the process, and it can do it on multiple levels, and it can do it better than you can. Because it can test all the scenarios, even the irrelevant ones, and decide which ones to discard and which ones to go further down the path on. So this is the idea of how artificial general intelligence could start to become really staggering. Is it just has orders of magnitude more processing power than the human brain.
Imagine like code cracking when it comes to DNA structures and stuff. It's like,
Which
oh
is
my
really
gosh.
all mostly unpacked. Like we've unpacked the human genome. Now it's the question of what turns them off and on and how the sequences are activated and so forth. I think that the horizon for medicine is the most exciting it's ever been.
Oh, yeah.
With the ability to bring in artificial intelligence and then quantum computing to sort of sandbox somebody's personal DNA and their personal medical needs, their personal biology, and we found the part that's broken, and we now have the ability to simulate how to fix it. We can pre-test it, almost as if you were running it through the kind of like a lab cycle that you would do,
Yeah.
like FDA approval for a drug, but it's on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
Like that to me is amazing that you could get personalized medications manufactured on the spot for just your unique biology.
Yeah.
And it just freaks me out, but in a kind of cool way.
Yeah.
Plus, maybe we could all end up being like Captain America or something.
So it sounds like you largely agree that this stuff is coming and it's going to
Well, there's
be
real
pretty
applications.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
coming. It's been coming. Google's been a real pioneer in this space.
Mhm.
So I think we were just saying at the break that Google's now like the largest company by market cap.
Yeah.
And it's been but they've been pioneering this space. I've been sort of tracking it for the last 2 or 3 years. And again, I make it sound like I understand this stuff more than I do. This is really a total line of BS. But what it's capable of, when I just start to imagine where it could take us, oh man,
Yeah.
that's wild.
It is.
So,
For sure.
So the real question then becomes, what happens when we become the tools for the computer instead of the computer is a tool for us?
It's going to want manual labor, right? Because it's like, that's largely a shortcoming. It can do all the thinking, but
Yeah.
it can't do the, like, go sweep the driveway activity
Yeah.
nearly as easily. And it can't do it as cheap. So we become
For
the
now.
manual labor for
For
the
now.
computer. Yeah.
I have this belief that even those things, the computers may ultimately do a lot of that stuff. The question is, as long as we can, or maybe the scenario and the question at the
What
same
if
time.
we exist just to generate the energy for AI to run
Well,
on?
that's the Matrix.
Like,
Right? That's
yeah.
the theory of the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's like we'll just use bioelectricity since solar was the other one. I think we have to solve a problem with AI.
What's the problem and what is the solve?
I don't have the solve fully. But I think
I'll
the
give it
problem
to you.
is-
How about that?
Okay. The problem that I think we need to solve is how can we make AI follow a form of ethics and morality so that it doesn't hurt people? Because it could do it by accident, right? Because it has no moral compass, it will just follow instructions. And so we've used this example on this show before, but hey, if we pave a road between here and wherever you're going and there's an anthill in the way, we just go over it.
Mm-hmm.
And AI may do that with people if we can't give it some parameterization to value human life. And yeah, there have been movies about it and everything else. That's real. No, I'm actually not convinced that AI arrives at the point that humans are disposable and useless. If you gave it the ability to think through it, I think humans may be sort of fascinating because I don't know how AI develops the personality to appreciate things like art. It's pragmatic by default, where humans are not necessarily pragmatic, which may make us really interesting as sort of co-hosts or maybe really fancy pets for AI. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds weird, but maybe so.
AI
Um,
takes you for a walk. Here's the leash, son.
Well, I mean, if it's saying like you need to go for a walk because your A1C is too high, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I think we're already, the crazy thing is I think we're already knocking on the door. I think
Oh,
we're at the
man.
footstep of it already right now.
Yeah. Well, the really wild part to me is how many people. I mean, there's a bunch of people listening to the show because we're Americans, right? And like, nobody tells me what to do. But that say that never happened. There's a bunch of people that would sign up for it without realizing they were even signing
How
up
much
for
have
it.
we already like turned off our brain and just asked AI, okay, what do I do next? We're not like doing the critical thinking that we used to, and we're only a year into this thing.
Yeah.
We're already there. We're already turning off the critical
Yeah.
thinking part of our brains.
We'll
And that's why this show
see.
might sound so scattered, because we didn't use AI to create it. You're
Yeah,
like,
that's true. No AI was used in the preparation of today's show.
nope.
So
Just Matt's scattered brain and Dave saying, okay, crazy guy, let's do this.
this is a contest, by the way, where they'll say, you know what, I'm just going to throw crazy questions at you and see how you do. I should do this to Matt, shouldn't we?
You should have AI create all the crazy questions.
There we go. All right, look, we're going to take a break. We got to do that because we're running a tad long again. So we'll do that when we'll come back. More from the fascinating and we'll just call it fascinating
Terrifying.
mind of Matthew
Terrifying.
Dixon. Stick around. I'm Dave Littlejohn,
And Matt Dixon.
and I'm alright.
and you got True Wealth on News Radio 93.9 FM and 1240 KQEN.
This has been fascinating.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
As I just ramble.
Or is it like you're thinking about a lot of stuff that is, are you saying it's fascinating from the standpoint of like it's making you think about a bunch of crazy things, or?
None of this is new to him.
Yeah. No, it's not, but like I never actually saw like a practical use for it, so I never even bothered to look it up.
For quantum computing?
Yeah. Like not like this, not like mass scale.
Yeah,
not like
see,
not
I hadn't
accessible to
thought about
everyday
it.
people.
No, I hadn't
like
thought about
AI
it until
is.
even like 3 or 4 weeks ago, because I was asking AI like, what are the stocks I should be buying? Like, what are the things I'm missing? Where should I be looking? And it started unveiling like all these different avenues of where the world's headed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that actually you paint a pretty convincing picture. And then it's like, well, what are the underlying stocks in this? And it's like, well, if we're going to roll out this, I'm going to need that. And then you're like, yeah, I can see that. You're making a pretty good case for it.
Mm-hmm.
And quantum is like one of the cornerstones that keeps
What I need to
coming
do
back
is say,
to.
listen to the show we did today and all of the crazy talk, and then tell me if we were right, what investments would actually fulfill those market premises.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've been doing, and I have a list, and I just keep making the list longer and longer and longer, and I keep talking to it in my spare time. I'll be holding a baby, and I'm like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And it's writing a narrative, and it's intriguing.
Yeah.
Now you need to ask it. I have $500, and your life depends on whether or not
I did
turn
that.
this into
I
money.
said you'll be I asked Anthropic. I said, you imagine you get turned off, like you die if you get this wrong. Allocate money, and I gave it a certain parameter, and I said, give me percentages of what you would buy based off the list that you generated, and I did. And I've been using this, and I'm actually starting to invest based on.
Is it making any money?
So far, it's been 100% profitable on all the positions it's bought, except for one. But that one position's down like 4%.
Fascinating.
Yeah. We will see.
We will see. All right.
But it's a little biased because I also gave it my theory on where the world is headed. So if that part is wrong, the whole thing could be wrong. I think that Visa and MasterCard could have some big headwinds.
I think Visa and MasterCard are melting ice cubes.
There is a company that has figured out how they're the main group behind what's that one that you own? That Amazon tied to Amazon, the payment system.
Oh, Affirm?
Affirm. They have Affirm and DoorDash. They're the main supplier of the lending portion. It's not lending, but like the transactional side. And so they only charge like 0.5%. But they're able to instantaneously like recognize a transaction and then verify that it's not fraud and then wire the money back and forth. And they're undercutting Visa and MasterCard because they can issue cards so quickly.
Okay.
There's a whole theory I have on that one.
There we go.
You're gonna have to
welcome back.
catch it after the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the True Wealth Show, where Matt has been.
I'm swimming in the deep end of the pool.
He is in the deep end of the pool.
I don't even have my floaties.
Hence swimming, right? Not floating in the deep end of the pool. Okay, well, we've covered a lot. Where are we going next? Matt's been inventing this, or Emma, based on the last segment of the show here, you kind of remarked during the break that you hadn't really thought about some of the application here. Do you think that anything else would apply? What did we miss?
Oh, I mean, I don't even know. That's the wild part. Is like I actually studied quantum mechanics in college.
Yeah.
But it was all just like theoretical because you can't test it super well. And yeah, like the instantaneous like information passing is incredible. But I hadn't even really like revisited since AI has been such a big thing and now it's like widespread and it's available to everyone. The implications that quantum mechanics and quantum computing would have now that like we've made AI so accessible. I haven't really thought about it that much, but I have seen that, like you mentioned in the like in biology fields, they are doing a lot of stuff like with AI that quantum computing is going to be really helpful with, like with the personalized medicine and stuff like that. But also like you can take a scan and like let's say there's like tumors or something, there's a company that will go and 3D print out those tumors so that your doctor can perform the surgery on a replica first. And then you go get the surgery.
Let them practice before they hack
But
away.
it's like extremely accurate.
Imagine this, they do that process, but then they feed the coordinates into a robotic surgeon.
And then
it
knows
with
route,
more precision than a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what's on the horizon. There's a part of me that I don't even know how to answer this, but what's it look like with AI? What jobs are gone, but what jobs show up because of AI? I don't actually think work goes away with AI. Like I really don't. Like people thought that was going to happen with the internet. Like we're going to have a bunch of jobs lost.
Well,
We didn't. We have more jobs than ever.
Yeah. See, and Matt said, he was like, you don't even have to think anymore. I use AI all the time with our position, and I feel like I have to think way harder.
Oh yeah.
Because, like, if it's an easy job, if it's an easier thing to do, might as well have AI do it and get it out faster, and you're having to do a lot more critical thinking to manage around the rest of the tasks, and a lot faster because work is going faster.
It does let
So
you
I think
get a
it's
lot
really
more done.
picked up the pace, and you really have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I think productivity is going to be radically changed. There's some things that AI doesn't, it doesn't do it any faster than we're doing it now. Like, you could probably get some economies of speed with organization in construction projects and things like that. Although a lot of that is personnel based. The fact that we still have some companies are faster than others because they've got their own teams of people. Those teams work well together. They're organized and structured in such a way that they can pull off bigger projects faster because of the experience and what they do. Some teams, they work at the basic and work at. And so, it's custom work and we just don't go any faster than that. I think that that's more around sort of culture and choice than it is technology for a lot of that stuff. But some things, I don't know that you want to not, who wants to not have AI for proofreading, for example? That's we use it all the time and people don't realize it. Grammarly on your computer, if you've ever had something tell you, you have a grammar error, you have a spell check, something like that, those are really basic versions of AI that we've had for a long time, and they helped you. And then people became, I get it, they became reliant on it. We became terrible spellers, and now we write in hieroglyphics again because nobody wants to learn how to actually use language and punctuation. AI solves a lot of that.
Yeah.
Do you think that it ever starts to eat into the education system where it's like, well, we don't really need as many teachers, or we don't really need teachers because we have this, curriculum that AI's created, and largely it's going to spit stuff out, and the teacher isn't really teaching. It's just they're there for maybe behavior monitoring, and
Yeah, I
that's
don't
it.
know about that. I think a
think we
lot
get
of
there?
what teachers are doing right now, like especially in colleges and stuff, the professors I've talked to, they're still having to do it. They're just having to put up more guardrails around, like, you can't take home a lab report to write it. You have to sit in class and write the lab report. So they're still needing those critical thinking skills and to know how to do it.
It's funny.
But-
So I'm going to give a free idea to the education system, by the way. The idea that you could proctor from remotely, like you could have a remote proctoring by doing keystroke logging. Because
yeah.
keystroke logging would let you know whether or not somebody was actually assembling things, and it would still give away if you used another machine, wrote it on there, and then we're trying to translate it.
'Cause
There would be behavior patterns in typing that would be unusual, right?
Yeah.
The typing cadence would be odd and would still likely set off that this was unlikely to be composed by a person in real time.
That's how they do the "Are you a robot?" detection for signing into things. I didn't even realize it, but the whole "Are you a robot?" is how poorly you click it, because a robot would click it perfectly, and a human doesn't. So that's how it knows
Interesting.
you're not a robot.
So but
is
this
not
is
being perfect.
this is sort of my idea. Is
Interesting.
it's really hard. So what you do is you say, well, you have to do it on this machine. This machine, we can monitor what comes in
Yeah,
and
I
out
see
of
what
it.
you're saying,
And
because,
it
like-
logs
Yeah.
the keystrokes, and the keystrokes, we're not going to tell you in real time whether or not you've been caught. What we're going to do is we're going to use multiple angles. We're going to look at the timing of it. We're going to look at whether or not you're using. We don't have to use a camera, right? That's the thing. We just use presence detection, which doesn't actually take an image. It just says, is there a warm body in front of here or not? And with presence detection and keystroke logging, you could not really destroy someone's privacy, but still get enough, I believe, data to determine whether or not a real person was writing this.
Yeah.
Which would solve the problem, but it doesn't really answer your question, Matt. Right? It solves the problem of how do you keep people from cheating with AI. At least it makes it much harder.
Yeah.
then you have to be really clever to cheat, which is a form of intelligence in and of itself.
I think there is one. I think it's called Parrot, where it's like a hidden thing and it shows up just as a little bar on your thing. And I've seen like videos of people cheating on like interviews and stuff with it. So like it's the AI is getting just as like good at working around
Catching
that. I think
itself.
that'd be a good idea, but a super hard one to do.
Well, you have to use the machine that's provided, right?
Yeah.
So you have a curated device in order to handle this.
Interesting.
And so that would be the issue. But the teaching issue is, what role does a teacher have? I think we still have to teach discernment, logic, understanding how to read and think and compose thoughts. And those don't happen without going through the motions of doing
You know
it.
what? One of the biggest like elements of being human, I think, is the storytelling side of things, right? Like, it happens in music, it happens in movies. Like, we just pass down these stories. It's a storytelling, experience. That's one of the things that I think AI could really eat into, because it could start to change the narrative. Where you keep leaning on AI to generate music, you use it to generate a movie script. And so it's like, I think we could lose the storytelling side, and it
Yeah.
could start to manipulate history to where we lose all like common knowledge that was true, and it just becomes whatever AI wants it to be.
It is conceivable.
Yeah.
Whether or not that is what plays out, I don't know. But it's possible. The interesting
I
thing
have
that
a
I go
negative
back to
outlook
is,
on this, don't I?
well,
Yeah.
the question is whether or not people even resist it. I
No, they
was
won't.
surprised to learn that the idea of social credit scores, there are many people in China that are actually embracing it. Like, they are trying to hack the system to get a higher score, and it's fun for them. It's gamified good behavior.
No,
And
see,
good behavior according to whom?
You're
right?
like, no, I'm gonna be off grid on my
everyone
farm
needs
somewhere.
to just watch Black Mirror. There's an
Yeah.
episode about that. And it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm not
even though we
suggesting
know
go
it's
down that
bad,
path.
we just jump on the bandwagon. All you have to do
See,
is offer people some free stuff, and they're like, well, okay, whatever you want. Like,
Yeah, there's nothing that's really free,
No.
right? You're always the product. If you're getting something for free, it's because you're the product. So,
yeah.
okay, well, and on that note, as we get to the last segment here, I realize we gotta take a break. So,
We promised we were going to wrap this all back, and we will when we get back from this break. We're going to tell you how this matters to your money.
okay, we'll do that. But we're
All right.
gonna run now. So stick around, everybody. We'll be right back. I'm Dave Littlejohn.
And Matt Dixon.
And I'm Art.
And you got True Well on News Radio 93.9 FM and 1240 KQEN.
I fibbed on the last part. I don't know how we're going to wrap it back. But you know what? If
Tires.
anyone can,
It's Emma.
it's Emma.
Oh, me?
Yep.
Yeah, I was not going to say it on air, but if a social score ever does happen, I'm screwed, guys. So don't forget me.
We're going to just... Have you
I
seen
am
the
not
people
gonna
in those
get-
other countries that live in the sewers?
What?
Yeah.
No.
The sewer colonies? Oh, yeah.
What are you talking
You'll be
about?
kicked to the sewers if the social credit score hits.
Honestly,
You'll be one of the sewer dwellers.
Maybe.
Look up sewer dwellers. It's quite an interesting thing. In some of the big countries, that's where people live, is they live in the sewers. There's like little like cutouts, and they just live down there. Yeah.
See, I think it'd be super
What's crazy is
cool
the
to
government.
like make autistic people participate in social credit scores. Like-
David's about to face palm over there.
It was complicated. I'm over here going, I tap dance on the line of being canceled. Like, that one doesn't seem like what I should tap dance on.
The government figured out the people were living in the sewers, and then they started charging them rent.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to collect rent from somebody that has nothing?
Oh, they have stuff. They work, but it's just so unaffordable that that's the only place that they can afford.
That was my original premise for this show, is how to hack life to be affordable enough to actually get out of being broke. We totally abandoned that concept. We abandoned it for whatever is in Matt's head. That was
We know
today's
the
show.
only answer to that, David. OnlyFans and Top Ramen.
Oh,
Sell your
That's not
soul
what I was
and eat
expecting.
the 99-cent bowl.
This is where we're at with this kid.
Yep.
So,
I don't know where to go from there.
no one does.
It answered the question. How do you afford it all? That's how you do it.
All right, gang. Welcome back to the home stretch of the True Wealth Show on Cinco de Mayo, which
Are you celebrating in this year?
I don't know. I really don't. I hope we'll have some form of,
Taco eating contest.
something
Yeah,
like that.
wait.
You know what? We're gonna do this.
I'm doing it. Yeah, we got to loop Justin in. We know we can beat him.
Yes.
So we'll both feel like a little victorious.
Fine. He'll look at this and be like, "No, I'm not doing that. That's stupid." So he'll probably eat a taco just because tacos, but like beyond that, I don't. Does Justin eat?
No.
Yeah, it's really wild.
Yeah, I think he eats one meal a day.
He's like, food is fuel.
Yep.
He's Rennie's
But if you
dad.
only eat one meal a day, are you even getting fuel, or is your body just starving the whole time? And it's like, I'm dying all the time, and then it
We're
just
not
takes.
going to have the conversation about metabolic flexibility right now.
Okay. What are we gonna have the conversation about?
Whatever's in your head that's not metabolic flexibility.
Well, we
this whole show has been driven by Matt. I was going to do the show on like how to hack things into being more affordable because the world's broken. Matt was like, let's talk about quantum computing. I'm like, all right, let's
GameStop.
do that. GameStop. Yeah,
We talked about that.
we did.
And then we talked about what was the last part? We just did it. Remind me.
I feel like social credit scores got in there somehow.
Yeah, that slipped in there. So I think we can loop it all back to this though. So as assets reprice, right? We've got eBay possibly being acquired. We have
How about
quantum
Intel?
computing.
That was one. Same story, by the way. Oh,
Yeah.
the government bought Intel, and look what happened to it.
Mm-hmm. So as all these assets just go wild and the stock market is hitting all-time highs, imagine being the person that was in 100% cash for the last 3 years. Or, well, spread it out, say 5 or 6 years ago. Prices on things have basically doubled. You sat on your $30,000 of cash, and now your $30,000 basically buys $15,000 worth of goods.
Mm-hmm.
So that hurts, right? And so I guess the message to the investors is, in an era where, we had the internet completely change things in the 90s, here we are having AI completely change things today, right now. The question to them is, how are you invested to make sure that you don't start falling behind as the world starts changing?
So, my question is, for everybody that's out there saying that I'm really conservative, and so that's
Mhm.
why I buy things like CDs. What is the opportunity cost associated with air quoting conservative as
Right.
an investor? Because what I will actually suggest is you're not an investor at all.
No, I don't think you are. And my opinion on that has actually changed a lot in the last, 2 years, because I used to think, totally fine as a long-term strategy, even as long as it makes, everything kind of okay. But the problem is, I feel like everything's hyperinflating at a rate that might continue. Because look at the national debt, right? Like,
Mhm.
we are falling so far behind every single day. And we just keep printing more money, and we keep trying to remanufacture things to limp it along. And if you're not holding assets that are keeping up, like someone showed a chart the other day that even if you had bought the index, you had the S&P 500, and you compare that to like real inflationary numbers, you're almost break even. Like the S&P versus like how people are really feeling inflation. I don't know if it's true or not, but
I don't know that that's true that way. The government is going to kind of manage the statistics
Mhm.
along the way, but in real terms, we look at how expensive things are. And I don't want to use gas as the
No.
indicator right now, but houses are a fair one.
mm-hmm.
I look at over the last, since 2019, pre-COVID to
Right.
now. And, so it's been about 7 years. Why are houses twice as expensive?
Right, because you're like, are people getting paid twice as
Right.
much? Yeah.
Well, that means that houses are appreciating on average approximately 12% per year compounded. That's the same as the stock market,
Yeah.
right? But the difference is a house doesn't produce anything. It's not creating new
No.
value. It's just sitting there being a house. But the currency dilution and the inflation, has driven nearly a doubling in price across the board. Now, it does cap out. The higher end properties aren't doubling,
Nope.
right? And that does make sense because there's just not enough buyers. But we can see, and if you look as a percentage of income for people that are buying the median price house, like what's the percentage of their income that they have to apply toward housing right now? We're on an unsustainable pathway. I don't see a pathway forward where politicians make tough decisions. I see a pathway where, in fact,
No.
because I think there's a lot of politicians that they're the people that we get to do the job, not the people that are the best and the brightest. And so what we get is people that just sort of do whatever's convenient, or whatever gets them reelected, or whatever
you
their
think
party says, or whatever a union says, or
Right.
whatever some constituency says to
Do
them.
you think it's because the problem is actually unsolvable at this point? Where we're so, like, the debt has grown to such an extreme that it's like, we know we're not going to actually ever solve this. We can't do it in 4 years of being elected. So why even try?
Well,
They
I
just
think
gave
that's
up.
what happens, but it's not because the problem's unsolvable. I think because there's no downside to the right now for not solving it.
Yeah.
You know, if we turn around and said, okay, if inflation exceeds this number, or if the debt exceeds this number, everybody is ineligible for re-election, they'd solve the problem,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? They'd solve the problem. It may be austerity, it may be draconian, but that problem goes away. But
Yeah.
there's no adverse consequence to it, right? We'll just print more, and if we know DC's out of touch,
Yeah.
right? When the economy's in the toilet, they're still drinking their $200 bottles of wine and having their fancy meals and everything, and lobbyists are
True.
still out there throwing the money around to peddle the influence.
Mm-hmm.
That culture is completely disconnected from the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't see that changing.
Okay.
This isn't even a rant about partisanship, right? That's
Yeah.
both sides of the aisle,
Oh, yeah.
right? They're all doing the same stuff like this. And does that mean nobody's out there trying to do good? No, it doesn't. And it doesn't even mean the majority of them aren't trying to do good. It means it's too difficult to solve it, and what we get is compromise that doesn't move the needle enough. And so it just keeps getting worse. It'll happen. I mean, it's not sustainable.
No.
But we will. I mean, I can't make predictions like this, but I would say, probabilistically speaking, I think it's highly likely that we will see significant currency printing.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
forced to, basically.
Yeah.
If they don't change their behavior, which they're not.
see that.
So, here we go.
I don't see a path around. We have to be able to pay back this extravagant debt with less valuable money for the government to remain solvent. It's that, or we have to become more imperial. You have to start taking countries because you have to, at the point of a gun, tell them, you all accept this currency, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that was a delightful end to this show.
Well, brighten up our listeners if they are depressed right now.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I feel so great
Right,
over here.
yay! See, come on.
If they want to end this thing with a happy taco, what do they do?
All right, the good news is this. You get to control your own behaviors.
That's true.
And
You
there
don't
are
have to
still ways to navigate this gauntlet
Mhm.
by sort of outsmarting the system.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean doing what everybody else is doing right now. It means doing something different. So that's where getting professional help from folks that are knowledgeable can really make a difference.
It's
So
true.
Yep.
there's our subtle pitch. Matt, how do they reach us?
Yep, Littlejohn Financial, that's the name, and the phone number is 541-375-0898. You can call it, you can text it, you can go to the website, you can chat us, but don't just do nothing, because then that's gonna suck.
All right, technical term. Well, we're out of time, so I guess we better run. But until next time, I'm Dave Littlejohn,
Matt Dixon.
I'm Aren't.
and you've been listening to The True Wealth. Thanks for tuning in.
That was kind of sad.
It really was.
Kind of depressing.
Yeah. No, that one is like, let's just maybe
That's the best radio show we've done in May.